Guys to ILWPOD. I'm your host, Justin Wright. Today I am here with Vince. How you doing, man?
Real good, man. How are you?
Doing great. Glad to have you on the show. As we was talking about a little bit before we got on here. Um, Before we get started, you want to throw out any, Instagram handles, Facebook handles, any of that stuff, so they know where to find you?
Yeah. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If you search up Vince Valor, you can find just about anything. I have a pro wrestling tee store. I'm all over social media. Try to stay
Gotcha.
active on there as much as I can.
Is there any events or anything you got coming up that you want to, throw a little shout out for?
I'm always busy. I got events about every weekend. So we're recording when is this? The Thursday now. So tomorrow night I'll be at Excite Wrestling in Vestal, New York. Saturday I'll be at Neo Pro Wrestling in Niagara Falls, Ontario. That's a special event we're doing. We're doing a tribute show, memorial event for my trainer Jesse Scott, JT Play. He passed away earlier this year, so we're doing a memorial show for him.
Nice.
And if you follow me on social media, I try to post all my upcoming events. I'm on the road just about every weekend.
Cool, cool. Um, I guess we'll just dive into some questions. The generic first question is always, when did you know you wanted to become pro wrestling?
When did I know I wanted to become a pro wrestler? Once I realized that it was a possibility. Because you watch it your whole life, you become a fan of it, but you never really know like how do those guys get into it. But like once I became of age, I started when I was 17 years old wrestling. So straight out of high school, I jumped right into wrestling. But like, so my friend and I, Matt Milan, we kind of researched and found a school in Rochester, New York that we could train at. And we realized, oh, like this is a possibility. And I didn't really know too much about independent wrestling until like I started to get into it. All I knew was WWE at the time or WCW or anything I grew up on. And so like realizing that independent wrestling was a local thing, it opened a whole new world to me. So it kind of screwed from there.
Nice. How did you get like your start and where did you start training at?
I started training in Rochester, New York through Upstate Pro Wrestling. I spent a little bit of time there. From there, I moved to a place close to the home to me, which was Niagara Falls, Ontario. I trained at the Neo Pro Wrestling Dojo under Tiberius King. Started training then and got a lot of my experience earlier on in Canada. But I was close enough to the border where I was able to wrestle in the Buffalo Rochester area as well as get my reps in all across Ontario too.
Nice. I didn't know you was from Rochester, so that's
No,
interesting.
no,
Did
not from
you
Rochester. I'm from Niagara
not
Falls. I just
my
trained in
bad.
Rochester. So, like, for the longest time, we didn't have a school in Buffalo. We didn't have a school in Buffalo until about 2014, I believe. So, the closest area to train was Rochester. So, a lot of the local guys around here trained in Rochester, some a little bit further, but then I found the place in Canada. So, I would kind of split my time between both.
Okay, my bad. Um, what like would you say like any guys like Brody Lee or any of those guys kind of inspired you at all?
Yeah.
You
He
know,
pops his head in and out at the place in Rochester. He was local and homegrown there. So, it was like, he was he was everyone's idea of success in the Rochester area. Win for him was win for all of us. Everyone kind of lived vicariously through his accomplishments and was proud of him and everything that he achieved. So he meant a lot to the Rochester and Buffalo area.
do you have a good Brody story?
I didn't get so like around the time I started was around the time that he was on his way up to WWE. So I didn't get to know him too well. I had a few interactions with him. I had a chance to. He came in the school in Buffalo, Grapplers Anonymous, for a seminar once, a couple of years before he passed. But he was able to. That's probably the most I really got to know him was to sit and listen to some of his stories and listen to any advice he had. And he was helpful for everybody in this area, and he was helpful for a lot of the wrestlers coming up. So it was good to at least be able to meet him and interact with him somehow.
Of course. Um, I was going through like your cage match statistics online. I noticed you do like a variety of like tag team and single stuff. What would you say the difference is between like working a single style versus a tag style?
Tag team style. I mean, you got to be responsible for more than just yourself. You kind of, any good tag team, they'll treat themselves as the package deal. So if your partner messes up, it reflects on both of you. Your partner does good, it reflects on both of you. So you kind of gotta you kind of got to treat it as, all right, that's my tag team partner, both in and out of the ring. I think that's what makes any tag team successful. You can't really team with somebody that you really don't really get along with. You kind of got to get to know each other on the road, hang out outside of wrestling, get to know, like, find that chemistry, find what meshes well for both of you in order to be a successful tag team. Singles matches, you're only really responsible for yourself and for your opponent.
Yeah. Which one would you say, like, do you prefer one or the other?
I much rather prefer singles wrestling. I've spent a lot of time in tag team wrestling. I've been in and out of different tag teams throughout my career. Um, I've enjoyed everybody I've been able to tag with. I've had a lot of experience with that. It's given me a good appreciation for tag team wrestling. I feel that I can excel at it. I just prefer to be able to focus on myself.
Okay. Um, as far as like wrestling's always full of gimmicks or characters. Well, how would you explain your character? Like, if you had to explain it in a nutshell.
Um, I guess the best way to describe it's just me. It turned up to 11, and that's the best way of describing like much of anybody's character. Like it's just an extension of you, but to a different extreme. I mean, some people get behind like gimmicky characters and things like that. I just try to be me, and I don't try to put out too much of a phony version of myself. I try to make myself relatable and engageable to an audience.
Yeah. Um, you mentioned working in Canada. What's it like up there versus, working the States?
Canada, it's a much different environment. The way I look at Canada, if you can't get reps and experience in Canada, you're doing something wrong. There's wrestling every weekend, all weekend, sometimes in the middle of the week. Like there's so many different companies to wrestle for in Canada. So if you're a new wrestler starting out, you get plenty of experience that way. There's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad in Canada, but it's a great place to wrestle. Everybody there that I've come across has treated me very well. The audience always treats me well. I love wrestling Canada. Some of the places I wrestle for, Neo Pro Wrestling, Greektown Wrestling, they treat me like family. I treat it like my home. It's great to be able to be so close to the border where I can wrestle in both in Canada and stateside.
Nice. I noticed online there is a new promotion popping up there, Maple Leaf.
Yeah,
Um,
Maple Leaf Wrestling. It's new. I believe they're having their first show in October, October 18th, I believe, 19th, something like that. Scott Demore was running it, I believe. From what I've seen, a lot of huge stars making their way there.
is there any chance we could see you pop up there
I'd
or
love
try
to.
to?
I'd love to make my way there someday. I mean, I'll keep an eye out on what they have going on, and hopefully one day I can make my way there.
Yeah. Um, I also noticed you've worked AEW Dark. What was it like working with, Dark and John Silver?
Oh, it was an interesting experience, man. It was really like a once in a lifetime thing. It's always been a goal of mine to work for one of the major companies, and I had the chance to about 2 years ago. So it's you get in those moments, and like it's something you like. I've been wrestling for 14 years, and like even in that moment, you still feel nervous of like you want everything to be perfect, you want everything to be as good as it can be, and to be in that ring in that moment, and it was cool to. A lot of the audience there was familiar with my work. So I wrestled in Pittsburgh that night, so like I've wrestled in Pittsburgh before, so some of the audience that were there for AEW that night knew me. I had a good match with John Silver. It was a fun experience, and I've had other opportunities to go back and be a part of the locker room and do some extra work with them. So it's a good learning experience.
So, like, is there a different process going into like doing extra work versus, gearing up for a match, so to speak?
It's just kind of you're there, and if they need you for something, they need you for something. You don't necessarily go there with the hope of getting a match, but it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you're just kind of there and you get called upon for whatever you need.
Have you done any other like stuff for like any other promotions like that, like extra work or?
I've been backstage for WBE doing extra work too. It's an experience. It's a chance to be able to learn to see how these major companies are run, see how like the ins and outs, and just, like you kind of just a fly on the wall for a lot of things, and you just kind of listen and you learn. And it's cool to be in that professional environment.
Is Is there a big difference, backstage wise versus like an AEW and a WWE?
There's big differences. I mean, there's lots of different people, lots of different office people, office workers, things like that. Every company you go to is different. Every locker room you're part of is different. So there's differences no matter where you go.
Fair enough. Um, so like where you've got the opportunities to be at, both of those as an extra or in a dark match or whatnot, I'd assume it'd be a goal for you to get there, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think anybody that enters the pro wrestling business, their goal like should be to make it to a major company one day. If that happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm happy with wrestling either way. But yeah, that's always the goal.
Is there like have you got any opportunities anywhere like the NWA or um some of not the top, promotions, but just under?
I wrestled for GCW Game Changer Wrestling. I think it was about 3 weeks ago now.
Okay.
It was great to have an opportunity there, and yeah, hope to get more opportunities with them whenever they're back in town.
What's it like working with Brett? I've heard interesting experiences working with him.
He was cool. He makes his roster feel like family. It was a cool atmosphere to be around that locker room and be around the boys. And Brett treated me very well. He was great towards me when he really didn't need to be. So it's good, and I hope to be able to work with him more in the future.
Okay. Um, Something fun I usually like to ask, you guys is there's always a bit debate on who would the Mount Rushmore be as far as pro wrestling. Who do you think that four could be?
Oh boy. I mean, you kind of there's Mount Rushmore for different like aspects of the business. Like you can look at like who might be the best in-ring performers. Guys like Shawn Michaels or Eddie Guerrero will be on that list. But there's also the Mount Rushmore of guys who have done much more for uh exceeding in the business side of things. The guys that have made the most money for these companies. You look at the major stars like your Hogans, your Austins, your John Cena's, things like that. For me, somebody like John Cena belongs on there. Triple H belongs on there for everything that he's done for the WB for as long as he has. The Undertaker, the most legendary figure of all time, and as far as I'm concerned, um, guys like that. I mean, it's hard to really narrow it down to four because everybody that's contributed so much to the business. It's hard to really narrow it down to just four that should belong on there.
Yeah. Um, you mentioned earlier that you have a pro wrestling tees like store.
Yeah.
I've had guys on here unaware of how to like get get one started. How do you go about, working with somebody like that to get your, merch out and to get your stuff out?
Uh, Couldn't even
If you can
remember.
say.
It was I've had it for so long. I've had it since I believe 2016, 2017 ish. And I think at that time they were running like a promotion where it was just send in your info, send in your bio, send in your email, and if you get selected to be have a store, then you kind of just works from there. So yeah, I was able to open up a store around that time, 2016, 2017, and uploaded my shirts ever since then. Any new design I come out with, I have some exclusive ones on there. I have ones that I carry in stock, so it's a good chance to, you know, if I don't have something in stock at a show, the fans can go online and buy it. Have all sizes, different styles, so it's good to have.
Okay. Um, another thing is like lately wrestling has been booming, not only here in the US, but overseas, like the UK and stuff. Have you ever made a tour of anywhere outside of the States other than Canada?
No, that's actually been a goal of mine too, is to do an international tour. So hopefully within the next year or so, I can try to make that happen. I'd love to wrestle overseas. There's a lot of big things going on in different countries, and that's a goal of mine.
Have you ever done have you ever done anything like in Mexico, lucha libre or anything?
Nothing like that. It's been on my mind. It's something that I've always wanted to do. So hopefully while I'm still young, I can make my way over and do those types of things.
Okay. Um I guess just wrapping up, I always end on a word of advice to somebody who would like to be in your position or is working their way up. You got any advice for anybody trying to get in the game?
You get out of this what you put into it. If you only want to put in a little bit of effort, you're only going to get a little bit out of this. If you're going to put in a lot of effort, you're going to get more out of this. This business owes nobody anything. So if you go in with the mindset of thinking that you're owed something in this wrestling business, you're not. And I try to teach that to all my students as well, is to put in as much effort as they can if they hope to succeed. I run the wrestling school, the Buffalo Wrestling Academy, so I go over a lot of business advice, psychology advice, in-ring advice, things that I feel that could help them succeed in the wrestling business, no matter what their goals are. So, I have a lot of students here at the Buffalo Wrestling Academy. They're all coming along well. They're all putting in great effort to get to where they want to be. So, and as I plug my social media at the start of the show, so anybody that is interested in that type of advice, or anybody that has questions like that, they can feel free to reach out and ask whatever they feel.
You said it's the Buffalo Wrestling Academy?
Yes.
Okay. What's it one more question, I guess. What's it like, the difference between being a performer and a coach?
It gives you a much new respect and appreciation for what we do. So, I try to look at it as I'm not just responsible for myself anymore. I'm responsible for my students and their success. And I'm not just teaching myself to be a better performer. I'm teaching myself to be a better trainer. And I want to give them the opportunities that I may have never had. And I've had a lot of opportunities along the way, but my trainer's idea of success was he wants a student to be able to surpass them and go further than he did. So I like to have that same idea, same vision. I want these students to carry out everything that I've been taught and carry out everything that I teach them, and one day be able to succeed and reach their own idea of success.
Okay. I like that. And like I said, off camera, I appreciate you being on the show, man. Sometimes it's hard to get in touch with you guys, so I appreciate you jumping on the podcast and sharing with us today.
Yeah, of course.
Um, yeah, but it's it's nice to be able to get that insight, especially from guys like you and others that might not get their word out as much as some would hope. And most of the time, you guys, I feel like, are just a little bit more interesting than the guys we see on TV all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So, thank you once again. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully we can see you on here again, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, you have a good one.
You too.